Hi guys, welcome back to the lab. This is part 4 of my Honda S2000 AP2 transmission rebuild. Before us we have the countershaft assembly. So I've pre-lubed everything with manual transmission fluid, and first of all I want to talk about the cleaning of this guy. If you notice, there are holes in the countershaft. You've got a hole right here, here, couple over here, rotate 180 degrees, we have some more holes. There's 4 over here, and there's actually 1 over here. I believe these holes are oil passages. So if you flip it this way, you can kind of see that this thing is actually hollow on the inside. So when I first opened it up, there was some sludge in there, and there was some sludge in these holes, and I'm sure that was affecting some of the oiling to some of the bearings and some of the hubs and what have you. Anyhow, to clean this thing up, what I did was I shot everything with gunk, rinsed it with water, and then I scrubbed it again with simple green, and then hit with water again. And then to make sure that any type of FOD or foreign object debris was removed, I shot it with acetone. So the items that I used to clean it are Q-tips. We have the regular round kind, and I have the pointy kind. Also used a nylon bristle brush. It looks just like a toothbrush. These bristles are nylon and they're a little bit stiffer than what a toothbrush might be. Toothbrush would work fine. And then probably the most important one was this guy right here. It's some sort of a bottle brush that I've had for years. Anyway, I used this guy to wash out the inside of the countershaft. And it's a little bit short, so I scrubbed it this way, scrubbed it that way, and then I just shoved it through, all the way through with a stick multiple times, this way, this way, over and over again, just to get the thing cleaned up. Anyhow, let's get started. So I'm going to put this thing in the orientation that they have it in the manual, and it looks like they have it like this. And so I'm going to look at it this way, and this is where everything goes on, so I'm just going to go with it that way. Anyhow, let's start out with our second gear. The first thing we're going to put on is a needle bearing. This is for second gear. It goes right here. And second gear has an orientation. Notice there are these little synchro adapters right here. This is what the hub actually slides onto, and that's how you transfer power or torque from this gear into the hub sleeve, then into the hub, and then into this shaft. So these have got to face that direction for this orientation. Got to put that thing on square, make sure it'll drop in properly. It should drop in real nicely once you have it square. There it goes. Free running, no problem. Now I'm going to take apart the synchro assembly right here, and you can see all the different parts for it. This right here is what is called, these 3 pieces right here are the double cone synchro. And I know that this is second gear because there is a carbon deposit here and a carbon deposit here. Here's how they go together. This is the synchro spring, and it goes on to this synchro ring right here. And then you put this chrome guy on here with the protrusions facing up. Sits right in there. Then I'm going to take this synchro ring, and when I put it in, I'm going to rotate it, and then when it sits properly, it will drop down. Watch what happens. Drop it, rotate, and it will sit eventually. There, it just sat. Okay. This is the synchro hub. For the hub for 1 and 2, there's no orientation to it, so I'm just going to put this guy on here. These little protrusions, though, have to fit in these slits. I'm going to put that in just like that. Oops, came apart right there. No problem. Just got to rotate it around until it sits properly. There we go. Now you can see that thing moving around. That's how it's supposed to sit. Now, okay, so now this is the friction damper. It is a piece of steel infused with rubber. You can see it moving right there. And this thing sticks inside of second gear. And the way we get it in there is a little interesting. So there are 3 protrusions on here. There's 1, 2, and 3. And that has to be aligned in these little sections right here. And so they need to go in the sections that don't have the splices here according to the manual. So I'm going to put that right here. Now to maintain this orientation, I'm going to have to pick up the countershaft assembly and hang on to second gear and the needle bearing. Pick it up. And I'm going to line those 3 holes right there. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to line those with these protrusions in the chrome cone. Now I'm going to put the hub on, and it's going to slide onto the spline section of the shaft. Just want to make sure that thing is still aligned. Yeah, it is. Okay. And as I'm sliding this thing onto, as I'm sliding the hub onto the shaft on the spline section, get it on there nice and straight, otherwise it won't go on. Yep, there it goes. Now I'm going to rotate second gear so until the protrusions and the holes line up. And it should drop right in. Right there, it just dropped in. And that's what it looks like. Okay, now you can see that. Now I'm going to lay this thing down. Now, this is the sleeve. The sleeve has different grooves on the side over here, and so you need to look at the manual and check which way this groove faces. This one has a groove in it, and this one does not. This groove section is supposed to face second gear. Okay? And the other thing to notice about this thing is it has bigger teeth. There's 2 right here, 2 right here, and then there's 2 right here. Those will only fit onto the hub a particular way. The hub has a couple of teeth that are dug a little bit deeper. Here's one right here. And then there's another one right here, and another one right here. See that green mark? Right there. So now I'm going to line up those teeth and make sure this is oriented properly. The one with the groove, this one, right there, needs to face towards second gear. And then I got to line the 2 bigger teeth to the 2 bigger cut holes in the hub. And that's how she goes on. Okay, so now we can put the other synchro set on. Let me just grab it here. So this is the synchro for first gear. Now it doesn't say this anywhere, but second gear has a carbon deposit. First gear does not have any carbon deposits on it. Again, no carbon deposits here, no carbon deposits here. It doesn't mention this in the manual anywhere. So here's how you put it together. Put the synchro ring or spring, the synchro spring onto the synchro hub. Push it on there like that. And then we're going to put the chrome piece in. And again, we're going to take this piece and we're going to rotate it until it sits in there properly. And I'm going to rotate. There, it just sat in. Okay. Now I'm going to put that on top of here. And again, the protrusions, these guys right here, go into the slits of the hub. I'm just going to drop that thing right in there. Bam, now she's in. Okay, now let's put first gear on. First gear has 3 holes on it as well, just like second gear. Those 3 holes have to mate up with these protrusions that come out of the chrome piece, out of the chrome cone there. So I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to look at it and line those guys up. The orientation for this thing's real simple. The synchros have to be close to the synchro adapters that are on the gear as well. So those are these guys right here. Okay, so line up the holes. Put that guy on. Now those are lined up. Now I'm going to drop in the needle bearing for first gear, and this is what's called the distance collar. And one other note about the distance collar, this thing also has holes, and these are oil holes as well. Inside you'll see passages. There's oil passages right in there. And it just drops in like that. Then for reverse, there is a needle bearing as well. Drop that needle bearing right onto the distance collar. And reverse, the orientation for reverse is with the synchro adapters facing outwards in this particular orientation. I'm going to drop this thing on. And then we got to look at the hub. I'm going to put this thing down. This is the synchro assembly for reverse. It uses a brass one with no carbon deposits on it as well. I'm going to attach the synchro spring onto it. And then I'm going to put that on. In this orientation right here. So now the sleeve can just run over the synchro and right onto the gear. Now the hub, let's look at the hub here. So the hub for reverse has two different sizes, so orientation is important here. Check out that side. It looks a little bit flatter and it also has some cuts in it, radial cuts coming out right in this section here. And then on the other side, it's a little bit taller. Check that out. Okay, so this flatter section here faces the reverse gear. So I'm going to put that this way. And again, I'm going to align these protrusions, these brass protrusions right here, to the slits in the hub. There you go. You can see it attached there. Okay. Then the hub, or the sleeve rather, this is the hub, this is the synchro sleeve. The synchro sleeve for reverse has an orientation, and again, you have to look at the manual. Check out these two grooves right here, and these, you'll have to notice that one of them has a bigger chamfer on it, and it's this one right here. So that chamfer has to face towards reverse. And then again, it has the bigger teeth in here, and you have to line those up with the bigger teeth in the hub. Look at these bigger cuts of the teeth. See the green marks right there? Those are the bigger ones. There's two on each one of these sections. Two here, and two there. So I'm going to line that up. The bigger chamfer goes towards reverse. And then, where'd those guys go? There they are. I'm going to put it right here. And that is the countershaft assembly. Now I do have to add on a couple bearings onto here, and I don't have a press with me, so I'll press that later over at Long Beach Racers. But there is a ball bearing that goes here, followed by a spring washer, and then there's a 27mm lock nut that goes right here. The key to this lock nut is to know that the manual is incorrect. It reads that it is a left-hand thread. It is not a left-hand thread, it is a right-hand thread. Again, there is an error in the manual. On this side, on this section right here, there is supposed to be a needle bearing that I'm going to press on. And again, I'll do that at a later date. So let's just check and make sure everything works. So remember, on my original transmission, on both the transmissions that I've rebuilt, the second gear was messed up. And the reason why it was messed up is because this sleeve. So in actuality, what happens when you're in the car, you'll try and put it in a second, it won't even go there. So the reason why it wouldn't go there is because this sleeve was messed up and it wouldn't allow it to engage second gear. Let's check if this one's working. All I got to do is actuate it. Second gear is now engaged. And now that is in, oops, neutral. And then here's first gear. First gear works properly. Get it back in neutral. And then for reverse, all you got to do is push over in this section, and I'm going to push it into reverse and disengaged. So let's just check, make sure everything's free running. The shaft is still, reverse is free running, first is free running, and second is free running as well. The reason why there's a little stiction on here is because of the synchro, and that's just the way that it was built to work. It's probably because it has the carbon deposits on it as well. All right, and that's pretty much all that's to it. Thanks for watching.